Coming up at 10, the Bahamas rejects a cruise ship carrying people who tested positive for COVID-19. We talk with Bahamian students abroad amid the pandemic. A Royal Caribbean exec says the company already spent $50 million on land for its Paradise Island project. Plus, thousands flock to the Bahamas for a spring break.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joachim. Top news tonight. The Bahamas government has denied entry to a cruise ship carrying 5 people who have tested positive for the coronavirus. Earlier today, the cruise line announced it was on its way to the Bahamas and was working with the Bahamian and UK governments ahead of its arrival. Jared Higgs has more.
A statement released by the Ministry of Transport says the Braemar cruise ship carrying 5 persons who have tested positive for the COVID-19 coronavirus will not be permitted to dock in the Bahamas and passengers and crew will not be allowed to disembark. The statement says this decision is based on consideration for the protection of the health and safety of the Bahamian people and residents of the Bahamas. In a statement released earlier today, Fred Olsen Cruise Lines confirmed that one of its ships is heading to the Bahamas after 5 people on board tested positive for COVID-19 coronavirus. Yesterday, while docked in Curacao, 4 crew members and 1 passenger on board tested positive for COVID-19 coronavirus, with another guest returning an inconclusive result. The ship, which is popular among British travelers, says it has changed course following a cautious response from the local authorities in Barbados.
We can't risk that. We don't have no cure.
On board that ship, there is currently no requirement for guests to stay in their cabins. However, measures have been put in place, such as operating open seating at mealtime so that guests can sit on emptier tables. Guests on board the ship are also asked to keep a reasonable distance from each other and crew members as much as possible. The worldwide impact of COVID-19 really can't be understated. Yesterday, the NBA suspended its season and U.S. President Donald Trump banned all travel from Europe. Now, still, it remains to be seen what the impact will be here at home. Everybody Our News canvass on the issue, including retiree Mary Dean, were concerned about an outbreak. Dean even had to cancel a trip due to fears of catching the virus while traveling.
I called my daughter this morning because I'm supposed to be going off for my birthday. And I called and I tell her cancel out everything, I'm not coming. Because I have to go to Fort Lauderdale.
They shut down the country, everything going like basically like Albuquerque.
It's going to have a devastating effect on the country.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
A top executive from the cruise line vying for prime crown land on Paradise Island says that property is a key component of the proposed multi-million-dollar project. Royal Caribbean Cruises Vice President of Government Relations says the company has already spent $50 million purchasing neighboring land for a project they say could employ hundreds of Bahamians and inject millions into the local economy. Jasmine Brown reports.
That top executive from Royal Caribbean International revealed several details about that multi-million-dollar project that they'd like to complete on Paradise Island. RCI is planning a $50 million attraction called the Royal Beach Club, which is slated to open in late 2022. To complete the project at the scale it would like, the cruise line wants to lease 10 acres of beachfront property at Colonial Beach. The government currently owns about 17 acres. Bahamian entrepreneur Toby Smith is also looking to lease 5 acres of crown land. BENFORD said he could not say what type of impact Smith's project would have on RCI's plans. However, he insisted they are not ruling out a collaboration.
We're collaborative in nature. I mean, we really want to work with everybody, involved to make sure that whatever project we undertake is beneficial to as many people as possible. So I think if we have the opportunity to have discussions with the government about the project, if we have opportunities to talk to Mr. Smith, if there are ways to collaborate that will make our project better and his project and whoever's project better, I mean, we're always open to doing that. And so, but I think ultimately we can't determine how the land is parceled out. That is something that the government will decide, and we will respect the government's decision.
When asked if RCI has been in talks with Smith, BENFORD said this.
We haven't been involved in his conversations with the government at all. I don't know what the boundaries of his property, what he's looking for. And so that's really up to the government to decide.
The Progressive Liberal Party has promised to cancel the lease for Crown land on Paradise Island. The government is negotiating with Royal Caribbean International, calling it a stitched-up secret deal that has no doubt arisen out of the F&M administration's desperate attempt to support the fire sale of the Grand Lucayan Hotel. RCI signed a heads-up agreement with the government to purchase the Grand Lucayan on Grand Bahama last week. The agreement has not yet been made public. BENFORD says the Crown land talks and the project in Grand Bahama have been two separate negotiations.
Those are two different projects. So we look for, we've looked at multiple projects over the years. The two that have come to fruition, I can tell you there have been more than two that we looked at. The two that have come is obviously we looked at the Lucayan, and at some point we added the port when we talked to Hutchinson about that. So that project is a lot bigger. The Paradise project we've been working on for a very long time, a couple years. And there's some other projects that we looked at over time that did not come to fruition. But I think, like I said, because the market's so strong here and the demand is so strong, you see, I mean, there's cruise companies are developing projects all over the Bahamas. And so we're competitors at the end of the day.
And with such stiff competition in the industry, BENFORD says the planned project on Colonial Beach will have to be an experience unique to the Bahamas.
It'll be a day at the beach. It'll have a large swimming pool. We'll have beach chairs, cabanas, things like that. Bahamian food, entertainers.
Reporting for R News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The government has made the decision to withdraw from hosting the 50th General Assembly of the Organization of American States. In a statement today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said after careful consideration regarding the coronavirus and its major international health concern, the government had to consider the well-being of its citizens and people throughout the Bahamas. This decision follows the lead of the United Nations and the World Bank that have either canceled or postponed meetings with large gatherings. The Bahamas made the offer to host the 50th OAS General Assembly during the 49th session last June. Well, some Bahamian students living abroad have decided to stay put for now as the coronavirus spreads. From Florida all the way to France, they're taking the necessary precautions in the face of this pandemic.
For the most part, I still feel safe in France.
Albour Menace lives in Besançon, France, where there have been 3 confirmed cases of the virus. He's been there since last August, teaching English and studying at a French university. But as the neighboring Italy closes its borders amid the rapid spread of the deadly coronavirus, Menace says he's not too worried.
There's never been an official announcement to close any schools or universities alike. Students still go to school. I still go to classes like normal. Students continue to go to classes like normal without a mask, and it's really interesting to see how it's perceived here versus how it's perceived in the media.
Back over in the West, the Tampa Bay area presented Florida's first case of the coronavirus. And it's near St. Leo University, where Harriet Sands and Rayshard Ferguson are students. They say the institution sent out an email to students Wednesday night, advising that classes will be held online until further notice.
So I pretty much feel safe because I'm taking the natural precautionary measures, just wash my hands, not touching my face, just doing stuff like that. But I do know people that are going back home. There's over 100 Bahamian students that attend St. Leo, and a lot of them are actually booking their flights right now to go back home.
Persons in the nearby city of Tampa, which is just 30 minutes away from here, tested positive for the coronavirus, so that definitely put a little fear into us, but we didn't think that it would actually have such a big outbreak.
Meanwhile, over at Florida International University, Brandon Heiler is set to graduate in 2 months. But now even that's up in the air.
As of today, we just got an email saying that commencement fairs have been canceled as they were supposed to start next week. Commencement, however, is supposedly still set to happen on the dates that were given to us.
Classes at FIU have transitioned to online and the school is closed until April 4th for students. For Heiler, this presents an even bigger problem.
I was also concerned because my classes are all skills classes for the semester, meaning that they can't necessarily be taught online because I kind of had to show up in person to get things done.
While there is concern, these Bahamian students say they're taking the necessary precautions and are staying safe.
I feel as though as long as everybody just tries their best to keep safe and stay healthy without going overboard, then everything is going to be fine.
I feel safe as well because St. Leo University is definitely a place that cares about their students. Even when hurricanes are passing or when there's major weather developments, they definitely give us instructions and let us know that we are good if we need to stay here, especially as international students.
We reached out to Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Hennifield for comment. However, he told us the Prime Minister will make a statement on government's behalf. Well, as the virus spreads to nearly every continent, the U.S. will ban travel from Europe, with the exception of the United Kingdom, for 30 days and warned its citizens not to travel by cruise. However, that did not deter several cruise passengers who went ahead with their vacation plans. They spoke with Georgia Bain.
Amid concerns of the spread of the coronavirus, cruise ship passengers have been warned to take extra precautions. Our News spoke with several passengers in the downtown area today who said that they're not taking the situation lightly. The U.S. State Department warned Americans not to travel by cruise ship as coronavirus cases rise, but that did not stop these passengers we spoke to in the downtown area. They insisted that while the rising number of infections is alarming, life must go on.
Oh yes, we were nervous, we were a little scared, we all freaked out. Our moms got us the masks and stuff, but I think Carnival has been treating us very well. They've been taking this very seriously.
Thomas ALBOUR and his family are traveling aboard the Carnival Sunshine. They were a bit disappointed that their cruise was denied entry into Grand Turk, but grateful that the Bahamas was willing to let them in.
The Grand Turk, that's actually exactly why we're here today. We were supposed to be a day at sea, and the Grand Turk was not allowing anyone in, so they diverted us here and making the most of it. We went down to Senor Frogs, and there was somebody, every time someone washed their hands, they were washing the countertop, they were washing the faucet, and that's very reassuring that they're taking all those extra precautions to make sure everyone's staying safe. So it makes us feel good about ourselves too.
Rebecca Meyer was also disappointed that she did not get to visit Grand Turk, but her mind is a bit preoccupied, as her decision to take the cruise means that she won't be able to see her grandchildren for a while.
When I return home, I will not see my grandchildren and my daughter-in-law for a while, for at least 6 days or more. She's immune compromised, so I wouldn't dare risk that.
Meanwhile, ROBYN SIZEMORE from Kentucky said while her family warned her about taking the trip, she's glad she took the risk.
They're just clean hand sanitizer stations, the washing stations. And then we brought them protection and wiped down our cabin and everything. So try not to use a lot of the railing if we don't have to.
122 countries and territories have reported over 124,000 cases worldwide since China reported its first case back in December. One medical expert estimated that the coronavirus is 10 times more fatal than the seasonal flu. However, KAILEY, a nurse cruising around on the Carnival Sunshine, said she is more concerned about catching the flu than coronavirus.
I was a little worried initially, but I think the main thing with any virus is you have to keep washing your hands, and it's just like the flu virus. I was more so worried about getting the flu than getting coronavirus from this trip.
Fellow nurse Stephen Hall, who hails from Fairville, North Carolina, complimented the Carnival Sunshine for keeping a tidy ship, but said he's a bit worried about what will happen when he goes home.
We were, but this cruise ship, they got a lot of stuff in place, a lot of hand sanitizers. They're actually doing a lot of things to trying to keep everybody constantly cleaning, constantly saying, hey, hand sanitize, telling everybody hand sanitize. So they're really on top of it. North Carolina is where we at. We actually have 2 cases already, and I do think the coronavirus is going to get, I think we're going to get more. I'm working in the medical field, so does my daughter. We're both nurses.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
All right, thanks, Giorgio. Still to come, why one pastor disagrees with the Christian Council's position on marijuana. Plus, spring breakers hit Atlantis Resort. Stay tuned. You're watching Our News. Welcome back. A local pastor has slammed the Bahamas Christian Council's position paper on marijuana, which supports the legalization of marijuana for medicinal use, but not for recreational use or religious purposes. Berthany McDermott reports.
Kingdom Life Church Senior Pastor CEDRIC Moss is hitting out at the Christian Council's position paper on the decriminalization of marijuana. He says he does not support the Council's position to recommend the decriminalization of medical marijuana. The Council's position paper recommends the decriminalization of medical marijuana and believes punishments for the possession of small quantities is too harsh. However, Moss says he believes the Christian Council's objection to the sanctioning of marijuana for religious purposes is contradictory.
If you are smoking dope in the name of medicine, why can't you smoke dope in the name of religion? And so I think they need to share the rationale for that. And then the excuse for holding the position regarding religious marijuana is that, well, those Rastafarians would be covered under the allowance for small quantities. Well, that would be true for the medical purposes as well.
Moss added that many countries where marijuana is legal use medicinal marijuana as a backdoor, stressing that legalizing the herb will result in an alarming increase in legal and illegal marijuana use. As a result, Moss is calling on government to hold a referendum on the controversial issue.
It is best to have it settled by the citizenry. So those who vote, if they determine that they want to legalize marijuana for recreational purposes or for whatever purposes, if that is the democratic will of the people, so be it. It would not be what I support, but as a Democrat, I would not picket, I would not protest. I would simply accept that as a reality of living in a democracy.
The Council did not take a position on the expungement of criminal records for small marijuana possession because the matter is currently before another national committee. He says he supports the expungement of criminal records.
And I don't think that there are many people who would be in opposition to the expungement of records.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Minister of Finance Peter Turnquist has chastised Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis for declaring that a PLP government would cancel any lease granted to Royal Caribbean International for Crown Land to develop a beach club for its guests on the western tip of Paradise Island. Turnquist called that statement regrettable.
It is a regrettable statement that they would make. As we all know, the world is struggling for growth right now, and so any confusion or concern that is expressed around these investments, illegitimate concerns, is truly regrettable. As the Minister of Tourism would have said, I think the Leader of the Opposition should acquaint himself with the details of the project, and until he has an opportunity to do that, I would just only suggest that you might want to be reserved about the comments that you make.
Davis said the deal would be grossly unfair to Bahamians and claimed the businesses of Bahamian entrepreneurs operating on the western end of the beach would be substantially destroyed. However, Turnquist said he couldn't disagree more.
No, we don't think so. We don't think so. And again, the heads of agreement and all the details surrounding this will be tabled eventually. All right. And so, I would only suggest that we wait for the details, and then they would have a legitimate position from which to make whatever comments they want to make.
Well, coronavirus fears didn't stop hundreds of college students from flying in to spend their spring break at Atlantis Paradise Island. In the past, Atlantis shied away from spring break activities, but for the first time ever, the mega resort is hosting 4 days of beach parties with its spring break sensation, which began this week.
They're going to go from 12 o'clock to about 3:15. The headliners will come on at 3 o'clock, 3:15, and they're going to take you all the way to 5 p.m. And that's going to round out the party today. So it goes from 12 to 5 daily. The price for the event is $109 plus VAT. And so what that comes out to for a one-day pass is about $130 per person. And that includes all you can drink all day and the headliners. And tonight you've got Loud Luxury, or today you got Loud Luxury. And so that's a great deal.
Once the party wraps up on the beach, they continue into the night at Aura Nightclub. VP of Food and Beverage Michael McDonald said their aim is to turn spring break sensation into the go-to event for college students.
Well, first and foremost, I mean, I just look at what we're surrounded by. This is the best, absolute best place on earth that you can throw an event of this nature. And I'm telling you, with Loud Luxury going on today shortly, they're doing sound check right now. I mean, where else would you want to be? Weather's spectacular, the sun is great.
Still to come, police officers ditch the station for the stage. Stay tuned.
TV
The Royal Bahamas Police Force is set to host its annual variety show that was written, produced, and will feature members of the force. Police Press Liaison Officer Superintendent SHANTA Knowles says the lively event will be held at the BAHAMAS Resort on Friday evening.
Coming up on this Friday will be our variety concert at BAHAMAS. Tickets are on sale at the cost of $20. Of course, you can also purchase tickets at the door on that night.
We stopped by rehearsals this week. In one scene, officers act out their take on the commissioner's annual press conference to release crime stats. Officers say it's a show you don't want to miss.
You gotta be there. Tickets are $20, only $20. So you have to be there. 7:30 at BAHAMAS. Don't miss it.
Would you say you're the star of this play?
I am the star. Look at me, girl.
No, I'm the star.
No, I'm the star. Me.
No, Ice Alexander do my Blush Shirley Brown in this one.
Don't mind her. She's talking foolishness.